Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our show, Inspiring Learning with Lily Lau. This is the first time we are doing it in Facebook Live, and I hope there will be, audiences who are watching us now and they like us. Now, what's the reason why I'm doing this? Aren't you feel bored during this lockdown, during this MCO, or are you frustrated in this current situation? In whatever situation that you are in, my purpose is, what can we make full use of this time that we have and convert it into opportunities, right? And that's what I would like to bring this to everybody, that we can learn together and at least pick up something from us today. So that's the reason we are doing this. And today I have a very, very special guest, right? Whom I have specially invited her. And before I go into that, right, let me quickly introduce myself a little bit. I'm Lily Lau, the Master Certified Trainer for Directive Communication Psychology. And I've been doing training for the past 15 years. And I have certified many trainers, especially in colored brain and directive communication psychology. Of course, in addition, I do training, lots of training workshops, applying DC in this content, right? Now, what is directive communication psychology? I'll be talking a little bit more later in my session. And let's quickly bring in Dr. Leez Hassan.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, Dr. Leez.
Hi, how are you?
Very good, very well.
Yeah. Looking good. Thank you for having me today.
Yes, thank you, and welcome to my show. Right, and this is the first time we are, collaborating in this manner, and let's go for it.
Yeah, all the best. Yeah. All the best. You can do it. All the best.
Yes, and let me quickly introduce who Dr. Leez Hassan is. She's a trainer, she's a speaker, she's a coach, and she's an entrepreneur, a very successful entrepreneur. Right now, she's been we'll let her talk a little bit more about, her entrepreneurship. Definitely, she has been in business for a long time. She started, with an accounting degree, right? And then she moved on in her career. She has a master in business admin. She has a PhD in business development. And now she's pursuing another master in psychology. I really admire you, Dr. Leez, for all this, education that you are pursuing, right? And she has started a few businesses herself, which I will let her describe to you. And most importantly, she is colored brain certified, right? And now she is, and now she is using colored brain as one of the tools in her training workshop. And I will also let her talk a little bit more about that. And it is very effective, and how, she has helped people in this area. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Liz, today, I'll be sharing a little bit from the perspective of millennials.
Wow. Right? Topic that I'm also interested to learn from you.
Sure. Right now, you are also a lot into millennials, and you have written a book, right? A guide to millennials in building business right. That was what you have done, right? And to give you a little bit of my background, I started to study and research, especially Malaysian generations a few years ago. Now, in general, the background is like that. When people wants to know about generation or millennials, they just Google, right? And they get all the information, which is normal. What I want to say is that most information that people obtain are about US, right? And that was what I discovered, right? I was looking very specific, more information about Malaysian generations, there were hardly. And that actually sprouted me to start researching. And the more I went in, there were lots of surprises, actually. Yeah. yeah, there are similarities in terms of what is being said by US. There are also differences, right? So today I'm going to share a little bit, right, to give you guys an overview in particularly Gen Y and Gen Z. Right now, these two generations, when you talk about millennials, the word millennial is pretty confusing. Do we relate that to Gen Y or Gen Z? Or they are just a term that covers for both generations? Now, in general, the public do not think too deep about, the term millennials. It came about because of year 2000, the millennium, right? It came about because of that. So people who are born around that era, right, they are called millennials anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it could cover Y or Z depending, right? In my terminology for generation, it's all about mindset.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. It is more about mindset. It is not so much about, to be specific, what year you are born. When you are born in that year, right, do you really, are you really a Gen Y or Gen Z or Gen X? To me, it is just used as a guide. At the end of it, it is about our upbringing that define what we want, what is our value system, and that is our generation.
Agree?
Yeah,
Agree.
yeah. Yeah, so that's how I have, got into it. So I'll be sharing a little bit today. Yeah, and after that, I will let you, hand over to you, and then you share about your 4R, which are the guides to be given to the millennials, right? For those who wanted to start business. Yeah.
Correct. Okay, I'm looking forward to listen about your generation, because it's something I think all of us need to understand, especially to work together.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
True.
Yeah.
True. Okay, so I hand over to you, Lily.
Okay, thank you. I'll see you shortly.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I hope you all can see my screen. Right, as I said, just now, which I have briefly explained, who are the millennials, right? And this is a lot based on what I have shared, I have said. And based on my study, right now, in today's session, I will be focusing on Gen Y and Gen Z. These are the two generations I'm focusing in this short time that is given. Now, if you look at the year born here, in US, they wrote those who are born as Gen Y is from 1980 or 81. But based on my study, Malaysians are slightly later. Why we are later? Because our economic development was much slower than US at that point of time, right? So our Gen Y did not start in 1980. Rather than even my 1985, it is not conclusive. It is about there. We need more studies, but I have a few facts to prove that it is much later, not 1980 or 81, right? So because of that, right, I have kind of like termed it, they are from 1985 to year 2000, whereas Gen Z, right, it is from 2001 to roughly here, I put a question mark because my study is not conclusive. Right now, if you look at this definition of the years, they are pretty different from US, right? And I have reasons for that, right? So looking at the age, the oldest Gen Y in Malaysia is 36, youngest is 21, and Gen Z here is oldest is 20, and the youngest is around 3, right? 3 to 5. So okay, still a toddler, right? So all the children who are going to school, whether you are in primary or secondary, at this moment, I regard them as the Malaysian Gen Z. Yeah. And as the word, right, millennials, they are commonly referred to as Gen Y. In general, that's what people use it for. And surprisingly, right, if you look at the US terminology for the year born for Gen Y, they are defined from 1980 to 1994. Okay, so it is confusing. So if they are until 1994, so why are they used as millennials? They do not crossed the 2,000-year mark. Those who crossed the 2,000-year mark are Gen Z in US. You see, these are all the questions that I had when I went through all the studies. But in general, they are known as the millennials in Gen Y, for Gen Y. And I term Gen Z as the challenger. Now, this is my terminology. Why? Right? A lot are said about Gen Y, and there's a lot of studies. But Gen Z of kind of like, they are behind Gen Y, and people do not really understand Gen Z so much as compared to Gen Y. And there are differences, and truly, right, they are a different breed when you compare to Gen Y, and they are out there, right, to challenge. And they want and they can do much better work than Gen Z if you're going to look at them in greater details to understand what they do. Okay, now the key point is what influenced Gen Y, because they are called Gen Y. The main background behind is technology, right? Whereas technology, now when you talk about technology, these were the older generation. During when Microsoft was newly developed, when mobile handphone was newly developed, those were the early years, the early generation. So that was Gen Y. But Gen Z, they are born into the smart technology, the apps technology, right? When Facebook was created, when all the whatever, right? We are looking at the smart section. So it is an evolution of the technology, and that's where, right, the consumer behavior of both are pretty different, right? Now, I have also created hybrid, because in Malaysia, when I do my survey, people will say that I am a little bit of here, I'm a little bit of there. So to me, it's like, okay, then it's like exactly what? And because of that, I realized, right, because of our economic development, which is very different from US, we have a little bit of both in many ways, right? So I've created Gen XY. And truly, those who are born in 1981, which is for US, when for those who are in Malaysia, they are pretty much the Gen X type. Okay? So they do have lots of qualities of the Gen X, and they are not entirely the Gen Y or the Gen Y. So I have also created, so this is like in between, a little bit in between. Yeah, and you also have the Gen YZ. For example, those who are born around this era. For example, my son is born in 1999. When I look at him, right, he has both the Y and Z criteria. Whereas my daughter, who is 3 years older, she is more the Gen Y type. Right, so that's where, but he is neither entirely the Z type. So because of the period where there is overlap, right? So looking at here, right, of course, the oldest, I call it the XY. In US, it's called the Y, right? It's age 40, then to youngest is 31, whereas here is 23 to 11. Right now, the influencing of Gen X in Malaysia, I'm referring to in Malaysia, is industrialization. Why? Because those who were growing up in the 80s, that's when Malaysia was starting to industrialize. Yeah, now I can talk a lot about all this, and if you're interested, we can, do a separate session where I go into details, right? And here we are referring to combination of technology with smart tech, right? Now, the question here is, how has COVID affected the generations? Do you realize in this short span of maybe 16 months, especially last year, when we were in the lockdown, the first MCO 1.0, right? It has created tremendous stress in everyone. And depending on which generation that you are in, you actually reacted in very different ways. Okay, now let me quickly run through how are Gen Y coping. Right now, they are already, the oldest Gen Y are already in mid-30s, right? The youngest are late 20s, right? So in terms of career, they have started career and they are, up and coming in that sense. Now, the questions, the background about Gen Y is that they were born when Malaysia was in the best time. I call it the golden era of Malaysia, right? In 1990s, Malaysia was, at its economic best. Things were going up. Our business was good. Our economy was good. Our GDP was going up. Everything was good. And there were lots of money to spend, right? So because of that, they were brought up in the era of abundance. There was so much, and they are spenders. Because of all the good things that are happening around them, they are spenders. They want to get the best. They want to buy the best, especially in terms of all the technology. However, there are a lot of misunderstanding or myth about Gen Y also. When I started this study, maybe like 7, 8 years ago, right? A lot of people do complain about them. Are they really that bad? But now they're already in the mid-30s. The same thing cannot be, be repeated, right? Because at the end of the day, no matter where you are, right, you still need to build a career or you need to start a family, right? So how do you go on like that? Now, for Gen Y, right, because they are the type who likes to who believe in themselves, right? And they want to take it, right, with the view that they can change the world and all that, right? They are more of the purpose-driven type, right, rather than security. Why? Because they were born during good times. And because of that mindset, mentality that they have in mind, right? And with this current pandemic, the COVID that came in, there were lots of disruption. They could be in a trouble situation where they, if they lose their jobs, it's like, what's next? How are they going to cope with it, right? That will help them to change their mindset. They may, instead of hopping and still, trying to find something that they want to achieve or find to pursue their dreams, they will probably take security as the priority at this moment, depending on what level of life that they are in, whether they are more, for the family or they want to focus on the career, whatever it is that caused the change, because of the current insecurity, right? So in the study, compared with other generation, they actually suffer more in terms of perceiving uncertainties, right? And they are likely to shift towards savings and stability and trade jobs satisfaction for security, right? And they are likely to face higher challenges in seeking for employment during pandemic. Why? Okay, now, if for the past years, if they have been switching jobs, right, it doesn't look well on their CVs too much, right? And as a result, if you switch jobs all the time, a lot of employers, right, will tend not to take you because they know that you are going to leave, right? So that can be, a negative point for you. Well, at this moment, it all depends how it works, but definitely, that if employers are looking for long-term, staff, you may not be the priority. Okay, let me quickly move on. How are Gen Z coping? Now, in the study, right, most of the children who are in the primary and secondary schools now, they are the Z. And they are the first generation that entirely moved study to online. If you look at, how all of us, including Gen Y, okay, up till COVID, up till when, a lockdown was introduced, all the studies and education were the normal classroom type. And that was how baby boomers, Gen X, and Gen Y, right, has been studying the traditional convention style, right? Only Gen Z now, right, that everything has moved to online. So in terms of that, right, and because our children, they are in their formative years now, right, that truly will have a huge impact in developing their mindset. And this one is going to be very different, which, all three generations will never be able to understand because we did not go through that. Okay, that is very one strong differentiation, Gen Z with other generations, right? How do they learn and how would they be in the future, right? It is something that I'm keen to know because it is an evolving mindset for all of us, right? So they are the ones who truly know what is it like, right? By studying 100% without real interaction. For us, right, it's all about going out there in the field to play, right? But they cannot play now, right? And with this going long term in another 5 years, or even after pandemic, right? How is schools going to change? It will change, right? The way studies are being carried out, and how do we interact? Activities, games, everything will change, right? This is the big question mark, and I do have concern, and it is an area of studies. Now, what is the big difference between Y and Z? I said that just now. Y are very optimists and they are big spenders in general, right? Whereas Z are realists, they seek security and stability, and they do have concern, right, about the world, about global warming, whatever that you call it. They do see it because what they are seeing now is very different from what Gen Y saw it 20 years ago. Okay, and all the Gen Z have gone through bad times when they were young. For example, in US, 911 happened in 2001. Now, back then, 2001 is already Gen Z, right? And in US, 2008 year was a great recession years, right? So which means continuously, economy was not really that great, right? So what happened in the family? People talk about cost savings. People talk about, not spending money, right? And when you hear your parents talk like this, it has an impact in your mindset growing up. Although you are a child, they do understand, right? Now, for Malaysia, it's the same. We have our Asian financial crisis in 1997, and thereafter, we never really regained our momentum of high growth. Whatever that we had, the glory we had in 1990s, after year 2000, we never really have it again. And now, right, we are in whatever we call it, right, economy crisis, or when are we going to pick up? We don't know. And our children now, right, they will understand what is, COVID, why do we need to wear masks? And because they are being taught to do all this at such a young age, they have great impact in their growing up. Yeah. So, okay, let me quickly continue. So what's the impact? Online learning has changed the landscape of education, and also the whole education industry is changing. Very different now, right? COVID-19 revamped their decision for college, the need to attend physical class versus online class, right? And especially those who are in college, it does have an impact to how they make decisions. Yeah, I'm not saying that education is not needed. It has changed its form. Yeah, and moving forward, it will change further, right? And one very pertinent point for us Malaysians to consider, right? A lot of Gen Y have taken PTPTN loan, right? And they are still struggling to repay, right? And if you have a Gen Z sibling or child, whoever they call it, they would think twice, would taking a loan really help to solve problem? That is something the Gen Z or the next generation, Gen Alpha, would know about it. And what would the advice Gen Y give to their children when they have gone through all the hardship in repaying debt? right? So these are the real life issues that I have thought through when it come to understanding the COVID impact in our generation, right? And what is the critical factors for us to thrive in COVID, right? Now, based on my recommendation is about knowing your colored brains. Maybe what I'll do here, I'll invite Dr. Liz to come up. Hi, Liz.
Hi.
All right.
I love your sharing. It's something new, something I'm
Okay.
learning as well. Especially on the
Yeah.
Gen Z. That's really interesting insights. Thanks for sharing. Yeah.
Okay. Now, since we are talking about the critical factors, for success to thrive in COVID, right, for our millennials, right, I look at colored brain as one of the knowledge that if you have it, it will save you lots of problems. Do you agree?
Yes, I totally agree. Of course, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And maybe let me quickly explain what
Mm-hmm.
is colored brain first before we go into the four colors. Right?
Sure.
Now, colored brain is a study done by Arthur Kamazi, okay, on how our brain gets ambiguity relief. How our brain gets clarity through our ambiguity relief. Essentially, that's the explanation. And what is ambiguity relief, right? It is the thinking process. Now, when we need to think, right, our brain is our thinking machine, and we need to go through that running, right? How do you how do you thought through your problems? That processes how your brain runs it, right? It depends on what kind of genetics that you have, right? And to measure it, it is the instrument that called colored brain communication inventory. Yeah, so basically that's the what colored brain is all about, and there are four colors, right? Liz, maybe you would like to explain what is red color then?
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe I bring up my props. Yeah, I have some props here. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Lily. Yeah, I'm actually quite new in color brain, but I'm learning fast, and I love when I actually stumbled into Lily, through one of the other courses that I joined. I thought that, yeah, why not? New knowledge is always a good knowledge, right, Lily? Okay, so as Lily mentioned, they have four colors. We have red color. Okay, then we have green, purple color, and of course blue. Okay, so of course, like Lily mentioned, every color is genetically born differently, and the way how we interpret and the way how information is being gathered through our brain, finally making that decision will be different. Okay, so very simply speaking, to put things in a simple manner, people in the red brain, they will, if anything that they want to do, they are very objective driven, so they need to know, the reason why they do things, and otherwise it's going to be very difficult for them to move if you do not know that. Okay, people that are into the purple brain are very data driven. Okay, they need lots of information. Okay, so if you ask them to buy something, they will actually browse through and gather as many information as before they be able to make a decision, because that's how their brain has been trained, and genetically born that way, for them to gather as much information as they need. How about green brain? Okay, green brain are people that we call it a sempoi lah. They can actually do things, spur the moment. They can actually make decision very fast. Sometimes they just say that, okay, let's do it. That's how people of green brain. They are very fast in some decision that they make. And of course, people that are blue brain are very high level of empathy. They will actually, anything that they do, they get connected to people and also the environment. So that is the difference between all the color brain, but there's none of them are, we call it dominant than others. Some people ask me whether red is better or purple is better compared to blue, green, or none is better. They're all the same. So this is all genetically born, right, Lily?
Yes, and if you ask me, right, I think God is fair, lah. Every color got strength, every color got weaknesses. So you are
Correct.
good in something, you are not so good in some other things.
Correct. True. True. True.
Yeah,
True.
yeah,
Yeah. Agree. Agree.
yeah.
Okay.
So, right, as what Dr. Leez has explained, right now, knowing colored brain thus gives you benefits or gives you an advantage, especially if you want to go into business, or how do you go into it and all that. Why? Because this is how you think. Right now, how you think is translated to how you speak, how you behave, which is you. Right, so the key thing is, if you know your genetic color, it gives you the clarity of being who you are. When I say the real you, it means the real you, right? In general, right? If we do the profiling, we will have four colors in us. The question here is, we are born with one color, and which is that color? Because that color is the real you. The other three colors is learned and nurtured. Yeah. But the things that you learn, no matter how good you are, it will never replace your genetic. Right? So by knowing that, it is a powerful knowledge, and it is translated into knowing who you are, and that gives you the confidence, right? And that gives you the confirmation. Sometimes when you are in a dilemma, don't know which to do, what to do, as a leader in your business and all that, right? It does give you that confidence. Yeah, Liz, do you have anything to add here?
Yeah, I do agree. I do agree because ever since I got to know color brain, then I realized that it's nothing to do with a personality. This is something that I have been telling myself and people that are my participants. Because sometimes a personality can be quite it depends on the situation, right, Lily? Okay,
Yes,
when we
yes,
are sad, sometimes we may put certain things aside, and we may be seen as lazy, or even procrastinate and all these, but people do not know what's going on in our life, but I think color brain, we put aside those. It's just how we make decision, how we process data. So that's very, very important, even to go into business. Okay, to
yes,
look to the color brain, because that would help. That will really help, in terms of determining what kind of business even you want to go into. All right, and then what kind of products that you want to actually even have in your business, because that will determine as well, in terms of you making a decision. Yeah, I agree with you. Yes.
okay, okay. Maybe leave. I will leave. I will let you take over. And since you want to share about your four
All right.
R, yeah,
Okay. But you can stay here, don't leave. Okay, because I will not having any slides, as I mentioned. Okay, talking about the 4R strategies, as what Lily mentioned, right? So it's something that, again, through the course of the pandemic, all right, when I first, we call it, every one of us, when we were actually having this crisis in 2000 and even 19, some of us, started 2019 in December, if I'm not mistaken, not Lily, but it got badly hit in early 2020. So then it came to this realization of myself. I see that, how do we do this? Okay, how do we do this, especially in business? How do we actually want to pivot? Because most of us, especially like people that are so used into retail business, they need to make that decision, that how did they pivot, because it's not easy, and then especially they have been in business for a while, and making that decision sometimes can be quite uh, 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 quite, we call it, emotionally, an emotional decision, because they have been doing it for the longest time in their life. But what I have actually come up with actually is a 4R steps to help people, to go through this process, that eventually for them to how to actually restart the business in a very good mindset. I think Lily mentioned about mindset. Okay, now talking about generation, I think as Lily mentioned, we are very concerned on the millennials, right, Lily? Because the generation Y and generation X. All right, sorry, not X, Z.
Z.
Yeah,
Z. Yeah.
Y and Z. Because as you mentioned it very, very correctly, I think I took your notes. People that were born in generation Gen Y, they were born in the best times. Yeah, it's, I mean, I didn't actually, I was like, oh, okay. So now just imagine going through this COVID challenges, it's going to be very difficult for them to even make that the transition, to make that decision, because they were like having the best of their time, having good jobs, working with maybe good companies, MNC, any business that they do become millionaire. You can see all the big posters here and there, all the
Exactly.
generation, yeah, and generation Y. So what most important, the 4R, Lily, the first R is about reflecting, reflecting, reflecting your mindset. I call it between having a scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset. Okay, in your opinion, Lily, what is the difference between having a scarcity mindset versus abundant mindset?
uh, what I understand, right?
Yeah.
Scarcity is, a mindset that you always think that there is not enough, right? And you think that you don't have enough, right? And as a result, you will be the type that you go and get it, and you don't want to lose out, because you are afraid that other people will get it and you don't get it. That's what I understand, lah,
Okay.
right? Because you believe that things are scarce. Because things are scarce, there's always not enough. And if you want it, you will do something to get it, no
Okay.
matter what, right?
All
That's what
right.
I believe. That's what I understand, right?
Okay. All right.
So as a result, right, that mindset is they always feel that they don't have enough and they are lack of, right?
Okay.
Whereas abundance is the opposite, right? They know that it's there, right? And they will not be, always feel that there's not enough, and they will be the type who always like to share. They are more of the cooperative type, and they believe in collaboration because everybody has it and they want to be part of it. That's how I understood it,
Yeah, good.
right?
True, true.
Right.
Yeah, because looking into these two, you mean what I'm trying to say in terms of scarcity mindset, they are those that get very distracted. Okay, they get very distracted. Sometimes, they will start to blame the situation.
Ah,
On this is how I look into it, lah. Blame the situation, and maybe not wanting to make the changes. Blaming others, pointing fingers, things like that. So why we need to actually have this abundant mindset, because this is where we'll be able to always believe in ourselves and have be aware of our thoughts. This go back to color brain as well, aware of our thoughts, on our thought process, thinking that we are able to do things no matter what, although it's how difficult it is. Each and every one of us are born with special skills and special talents. We are all unique in our own way. All right, so we are unique in our own way. We will be able to now gather our we call it semangat, our semangat, and go out there and develop new skills. In fact, I think I spoke to Lily about we have to no choice, go online on visual, whether we like it or not. That's the only way forward, Otherwise,
yes,
we will be
yes.
like, oh my God, what's going on? So every one of us have to make that decision, to have this abundant mindset and develop the new skills. Okay, I mean, I could also talk about generation X, Y. You see, there's a hybrid, right, between the X and Y. Because some of us, generation X, could also have that same mindset that, oh no, this is not for me. I mean, my generation is over. But whether we like it or not, we have to make the decision to go with the wave and make the changes, right,
Yes,
Lily? Okay, so
yes.
that's first R. The second R is recover. Okay, how do we, after we have reflect, we need to start recovering ourselves. So for me, most important, we have to focus on things that we can change, right, Lily? We focus on things that we can change, and we have to always stay in the present moment, because sometimes, you can see what's going on even with the COVID. All right, because we were doing very, very well. We were doing like super, super great, nation. All of a sudden, pooh, it went down.
Yeah.
I'm not very sure who to blame, what's going on, and like, wow, so what we have to do is like, we have to always get to stay in the present moment and, and have a coping mechanism. All right, because things change. Things change. All of a sudden, from wearing one mask, we got to wear double mask. And yesterday they say wear to face shield, just in case your mask went out. I mean, get out from your getah, pecah, whatever. Right? Oh, okay, that's so rigid. So most important is the same thing. If you want to make any changes, we need to stay in the present moment. So that's the recovery. We cannot go back and say, oh, I have done that business before. I have built the business such a big network, my chain of stores. Yeah, those were the days. So we need to understand that whatever happened now, have to move forward from here to wherever we want to go, our next destination. So that's recover. Okay, but what's next? I like to put this before we even restart, because we need to refresh our mind. Lily, you agree or not? We need to really refresh our mind. Right?
Sure.
So why do you think that we need to refresh our mind, Lily, before we even restart anything?
I think for refresh, you need to clear out, you need to clear out the baggages, all the, things that's pulling you down. That's how yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, you need to actually have this mind shift, right? Okay, so and identify all the things that are stressing you out. Even that if you have money issues, if you have you cannot even pay the bills, things like that. Even you need to identify those and get help, and even we call it find ways to manage them, because otherwise, if you do not find, if you not manage them, you'll not be able to even restart anything, because there's so much baggages, right? So much baggages in your mind, and you need to have a very, very, we call it a way to have a very fresh body, mind, and soul. Because your mind can see something else, your body can see something else, and your soul can see something else. So I think we are not going to go into that, but this is very, very important before you go to the next level, which is actually restart. Okay? So for me, restart is very, very simple. I go it by having a strategy. What is your strategy? Okay, what is your strategy? So I use the word strategy. Okay, first and foremost, you need to have the S, which is your intention. What is your intention? In even doing this new business. Is it because you want to survive because of money, or because you want to stay alive? Because you cannot be staying home. Well, like you say, we cannot be staying home. So sometimes we do things, with the intention. We just need to go out there and share. Not everything is just about money, but just to sharing the knowledge. So the intention must be correct, because sometimes when they want to make these changes in their life, they thought, okay, they do the business one day, they will get the money the next day. Okay, so it doesn't happen, right, Lily? It doesn't happen that way. Got a lot
not
of
so nicely.
not so nicely, because let's say, okay, kita already now become a virtual trainer. Okay, next day people will come to us and say, okay, you are the best virtual trainer. It doesn't happen that way. A lot of other thought process that you have to do. Okay, so that's the intention. Okay, you have to set the intention, and then most important, the T, second one, is track back your previous goals. Because sometimes, you have done something great already. So you'll be able to go back and track back the goals that you have done previously. And look into that, what works for you. And that will actually expedite the process of the changes. Because I know people that have pivot from one industry, which is like tourism, into mini market. That's a kind of totally two different things, but certain things stay. Right? Certain process stays. So it means that they can go back and track back all the goals and what they have done before. That helps them to move. They will help them to move faster. So that's T. What's R? R, you need to actually respond to the changes fast. Like this lah. If you are just wanting to just do it, and let nature its course, I think it's going to be very difficult, especially at this point of time. You also need to respond to the changes fast, because I know how the retailers are also, we call it every day, talking about, please allow us to open the shop, things like that. So it means that you need to shout, for attention lah. If you don't shout for attention, nobody will actually know that you are in need of help. Can Lily? So we have
Yeah, yeah,
we have no choice. Sometimes we have to really say, hey, come on, I need help. That's where they have the white flag and all this, that respond to the changes fast. And then of course, what's Lily? Because for us, to as human being, because we always need to embrace all our accomplishments that we have gotten before. That will really help us to go out there and restart this new journey that we want. But sometimes we feel, hopeless lah. Okay, I think everything is just go down the drain. But no. Actually, what we have accomplished before is ours. And this
yeah.
is a new journey. All right. So I always tell people, always embrace the accomplishment that we have gotten in our life. And of course, uh, some disappointments maybe, because as a usahawan, you also an entrepreneur. We have gone through, we call
Ups
it
and down roller coaster.
journey, crossroads, a
Yeah,
sleepless night, things like that. That's normal. This is exactly a life of an entrepreneur. Okay, so this COVID is nothing of a different, in fact. Okay, and of course, what's T? Okay, T, because since I'm also a work-life balance advocate, right? I always like to remind, uh, the rules that you play in life, the rules that you play in life, especially in this time of crisis. Okay, we talk about this our crisis, because I think Lily mentioned correctly that the Gen Z are all now, we call it learning from home. Okay, so we need to also identify, the role that we play at this point of time, that we are also not just a mother, and also we are also an educator to our children, because we also have to play that role to ensure that our generation Z, make that informed decision, that really, because when you mentioned about that, I get very like, scary also lah, scared. Okay, now is they are small, and just imagine when they have to actually tell the story to their children. What would be the things that they will tell the children? So we as mothers now, which is maybe X and Y, must understand the role that we play, and maybe tell them about how we have to go through things. What was our previous way of our experience and all this, so we can cross sharing information to them. Okay, and of course, the environment. Okay, because now most of us are into this environment that some parts of it we can control, some part of it we can't control. So we have to make sure that what is environment that we can control and we cannot control. So that if we can't control certain things, please don't go into that area, because that will otherwise pull us back in actually making the changes. Okay, that's E. I will actually later share this in maybe in the WhatsApp group. I can get Shuhaira, can you write that strategy? And of course, G. What is G? Lily, what do you think is G? Lily, are you frozen? Oh, Lily is frozen. Okay, what's G? Okay, for me, G is a God. Okay, I look into it, anchor it with faith. Because in anything that we want to do, and any changes that we want to make in our life, we have to believe that anything happen is because of God, Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. So in whatever religion that you have at the moment of time, we always have to embrace it with faith, anchor it with faith, always have our gratitude, and embrace that these happen with a reason. And then we will feel very at peace with ourselves, and will be able to go on and make the changes that we want. Lily is actually all of a sudden she's out, but it's okay. I will just go on and say my last why. My last why is your past experience will help you to move faster in this journey to restart. All right. because always remember, as in our journey in our life, even if I told people when we do business, whatever experience that we have will always help us to move on faster. Like Lily say that, yes, I am an entrepreneur for 20 over years now, Lily. Okay, I started in multi-level marketing, and now I am in we call it learning and development. Okay, so just imagine those years, there's so much experience that we had gathered, throughout our journey that will help us to move faster. That's why the last one, why, Lily, that is actually your past experience will help you to move faster. So a lot of people, when they want to restart, this journey, sometimes they forget about where they were before. Where were they before? And they thought that they are a total failure. So we have to always tell ourselves, no, there's nobody is failing here. Because we are not judging anyone, like Lily, yeah? We are all here, I think the fact that Lily have this inspiring talk with Lily Lau is to help everyone out there, to have this clarity, to understand how they'll be able to make that decision. So that is where Lily is coming from, and sometimes, through we talk about a little bit, or through the color brain, perhaps you are a red or even a purple for that matter, it does in a way, you need to actually go through a longer process sometimes, right, to gather more information. Okay, what kind of business that is good for you to do next, but sometimes when you compare to people that perhaps is the green brain, they don't need much information. You just thought, okay, let's just make the changes overnight. They can actually do that. That's how their thought process is. So that's how I think color brain comes in. And really, really help at this juncture for you to make that decision. To even restart. Okay. So that's a bit of sharing from me, Lily. All right. So over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Leez, for that inspiring sharing. And definitely your 4R, right, is very powerful. Just recap, reflect, right? After that, recover. Then sorry,
refresh,
and then restart.
Yes.
Okay, that's very, very good. And any of you who would like to get more information or advice from Dr. Leez, right, you can, get in touch with her. And now, before we move on to open up the session to the floor, I would like to show my...
Oh, yeah, Lily is lost again. Okay, she's... I have put inside the chat box. Okay, you can actually take it from there. Thank you.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you now. I can see the slides. Which generation
you can
are
see
you?
Right. No, I'm sharing this link to people out there. Any one of you would like to know which generation are you in? Now, this is the Malaysian perspective that I'm looking at, right? Not by year born. It's more by, your mindset, your likings, what are your preference? Yeah. The questions are very simple. It's just only like, 5 or 6 questions, and there's no writing here, just tick, 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 tick. And we will respond to you after your survey. We will give you the results later this evening, if not latest by tomorrow, that you will know the results of your generation. Yeah. Nice. So do go in. This is for fun. Right? It's not definitive, but at least, it gives you an indication which generation that you are from. Right? Yeah. Nice. Okay. And before maybe what shall we do? Shall we open up and ask the floor whether anyone have any questions?
Yeah. Any questions that from the audience, the participants? There's some people here that I think like Johan, Lily Lau.
Yes. Lily Wong.
I can see Mr. Siva Ravindran.
Okay, Siva is my friend from Infineon. Siva, hi. Okay, yeah. Okay, I hope more people are out there. I'm not sure. At least I see a few friends that I know.
Yes, yes, yeah. Most important, Lily, maybe you can share with us what will be your upcoming program that you have, especially on the color brain. That could help us because I
Okay,
think
okay.
it's a very very I mean it's a very knowledgeable tool to help us, especially on making a decision.
Okay, so with that, right, I will share my screen. Just give me a sec here. Let me share my screen. Right, so what I do here is that I do give free consultation. Anyone, if you think you want to get some consultation from me by knowing what is your colored brain and all that, do write to me. This is my email, or WhatsApp me. This is my number. And I will spend time with you, just go through. Well, you do not get to do the colored brain communication inventory. If you want to do that, you got to pay for that. At least I will play cards with you and I can assess your colored brain. Yeah. And from there, we can quickly touch, for example, if you have any questions on what business, how to do, or any issues that you're going through, I am more than willing to help. Yeah, so this is what I am giving at this moment to help people during the pandemic. Yeah, right. And what are some of my upcoming events for anyone out there who are trainers, coaches, or aspiring to be trainers? Right, I have what we call this colored brain trainer certification coming up from August 2nd, and this is done online. Now, write to us to find out more details. This is only colored brain, and if you want to have the full version, then it is called the Directive Communication Trainer Certification. Now, this is over 16 sessions. So this is over 2 months, whereas this is over more or less 1 month. Right? Now, do write to us if you want to know more. And well, this is something that I have in mind. Not really, do not have the dates or anything yet. I intend to do a special session on Malaysian generations, right? So,
Wow, wow.
yeah, keep us, let us write to us, give us, your response. The more that you respond, then the more motivated I am. Then, I will get it done faster for you.
True, true, true. Yeah, you need to motivate yourself. True, true, true. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, right. So that's the my coming events, and maybe Dr. Leez, you would like to share some of the books that you have.
Oh yes. Okay. Let me just share my screen. Okay.
And you're giving free book away, right? Free
Yes. I'm
ebook.
giving I'm giving free ebook. I'm just going to get my the link to be put inside the there's already there a link inside the. Can you see my slide, Lily?
No.
We can't. Okay. It's kind of a bit slow, lagging. Okay, there's actually two free ebook. Okay, so this is something also I have done it throughout my journey during COVID. Without the
Ah.
COVID journey, I would not be able to even have all these new ideas or doing things. So I'm looking forward to actually write a book with you, Lily.
We
Let's
can we
plan.
can talk about it.
All right, because it's like a very a powerful way to put our thoughts into writing, right? So there's actually two ebook that you can get, which is a time management for better work-life balance, as well as 14 quick steps to achieve the ultimate work-life balance. You can actually click on that and get the free ebook. And of course, as what mentioned, Lily had mentioned earlier, the book, you are keen to start business, you can actually get hold of this book. Yeah, Lily has a copy as well. The Millennials Guide to Business, right? Okay. So this is actually a workbook that you will help you to go through and understand the A to Z on how to build the business. Because for me, building the business is about your mindset, and your mindset has to be the sustainable one. Okay, because if you don't have you don't start with a correct mindset, it's going to be very very difficult, because definitely the journey is going to be like, as you say, ups and down, topsy turvy, 360-degree, pushing here and pushing there. End of the day, you will go back to where you were before, or you give up. Right? Anyhow, there is also there's another ebook that I wrote, which is called Berani Bangkit Cabaran COVID-19, Menyerah Bukan Pilihan. Okay, that is also you can get it from the ebook store. Okay, so that's just a little bit about me. I see the slides not being. I'm not sure. It's become kind of slow. Yeah. So never mind. All right, Lily, that's all from me. Okay. I would like to thank you
Yes.
for having me today. And I think I do enjoy the conversation and listening to you, especially about the generation. I really look forward to join your session on generation because it's something that is quite we call it not difficult, but having not knowing sometimes how they think, not think. Is it about thinking as well, Lily?
No,
Is
you see, in general, right? Most people just take whatever that they get from Google wholesale without thinking through and apply it to the Malaysian context,
Yep,
right? Whatever that they wrote about generation in general is the US context, right?
correct.
I give you okay a very very quick one, right now. People talk about Gen Y that they are very vocal. In general, that's the US Gen Y,
Yeah,
correct? But are Malaysians Gen Y really vocal? The answer is no.
no,
Okay, at work, they still do not speak up because that is the Malaysian culture.
correct.
They only become vocal at the social media.
Yeah,
That's the difference.
yeah, true, true,
You
true.
see?
Yeah, it's the generalization lah, not of the generations. So that is the one that I think we need to understand is it goes back to color brain, like, really. It goes back to the
Exactly.
thought process, the brain on the people. Yeah, because like my children, I got 6 children. All of them, I think they are all different. Yeah,
Oh.
but all of them are generation. Yeah, X and Z. You know,
No, no,
uh,
Y and Z. Your
oh,
children will
sorry,
be
Y and Z, Y and Z, Y and Z.
your
So
elder could be XY. I'm not too sure.
my
But your
elder,
choo-choo is
I'm
alpha.
sorry,
Zen alpha da.
after already. Yeah, yeah. I think my children goes from Y to Z. Yeah, Y to
Y
Z.
to Z.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
eldest daughter is XY.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, XY,
Right?
which is like
Okay.
quite
Okay.
quite interesting, to see all these this generation because it's actually it's a topic that is needed because we cannot generalize them. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. And that's where I come from. Yeah.
yeah,
And I can give very good Malaysian perspective of the generations.
very good. Yeah. So we look
Yeah.
forward,
Yeah.
Lily, for that particular session with you. All right. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. Good. Well, we have come to the end of the session, and that's how fast time passes, right? It's already 11:04 according to my clock here. So we shall end the session here, and thank you very much, Dr. Liz, for coming. And truly, I enjoyed this session and for sharing your perspective. And to all the audience out there, do continue to look out for our episodes, and we hope, right, you have learned something from us. Yeah, and of course, my wish is that tell people about this show, share and like us. Yeah. Okay, Dr. Liz, any one last word from you?
Yeah, I wish you all the best, Lily. I think you have done great. Okay, I think you have to. I mean, you are one person that I think have a very big heart and willing to share. Yeah, take the opportunity to talk to Lily because I was one of them that she will play the card with you and the rest is history. All right, and yeah, I think I also enjoy my session with you today, and I look forward to actually continue my second session with you soon.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. And we are starting in September for that.
All right. Okay. I'm here. Looking forward. Looking forward. Okay. All right. So all the best,
Okay.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you again and stay safe.
All right. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.